I'm back. Here we are. It is the 8th of the glorious month of July, named for the Julian calendar, probably, and probably Julius Caesar. So hail Caesar. Let's drink some delicious wine. Still got some Cab Franc in my glass. If you missed the Cab Franc portion of this wonderful little day drinking with Wes Hagen adventure, well, you can always go over. There's always places you can check these videos out again. You can always go over either down further or look at the video section of J.Wilkes Wine Santa Barbara. Instagram television probably has them rolling around someplace, but every single show, Naomi Zandejas, hi Naomi, thank you so much for doing this, is also taking all of our videos and putting them on our YouTube channel. So J.Wilkes Wines and Miller Family Wines both have a YouTube channel, and they're just starting to get going, just starting to get a couple views. So if you want to go over there and follow and like us and watch a couple videos, we would really appreciate it. Get some more people involved. We are noticing there's not a lot of people watching these 1-hour videos, so we have fundamentally changed the show. And now we're basically doing 2 mini shows, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Actually, that's not true. Mondays and Wednesdays, we'll have 2 little mini shows, and then on Fridays, we will have a special guest. Just found out we're gonna have a special guest on, not on Friday, but on Monday, January 27th. How about Karen McNeil? Karen McNeil, author of the Wine Bible, and not only a beautiful woman, but a beautiful brain for wine. I'm gonna find out as much as I can about her, and we're gonna have an absolutely fantastic conversation about everything else. Well, let's see. Oh, believe it or not, I didn't start Instagram. Hey, Instagram, sorry, I thought I hit the button. I didn't. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're doing a little 15-minute section right now, and the subject tonight is going to be basically how to set up a party to make sure that there's plenty of liquid for every single person there, whether you have 10 people or 1,000 people. So I'm going to tell you a couple stories about trying to set up and failing to make sure that there's enough alcohol, or underestimating or overestimating. The first story I'm going to tell you about is underestimating. And it was after the 2000 vintage. We had our first harvest party with all the wonderful people, mostly people from the Michoacan region of Mexico. We have like 4 families and like cousins, huge families would just come in and help us pick. And at the very end of harvest, we would have a huge barbecue for them. And the first time we had a barbecue, I think we had 25 people coming. So I thought, 25 people, let's get a keg, right? Well, it turns out that these specific wonderful folks that helped us pick all those wonderful Clos Pepe grapes were far less bibulous than I anticipated, which just is a nice way of saying they don't drink. So literally I bought a full half-barrel keg of, I think, double-barrel ale from Firestone Walker. We put it in an ice tub, got it going, got the pipe, got it primed. Me and a couple of the winemakers from Clos Pepe were sitting there having a couple beers. Everyone starts coming in. At the end, we noticed maybe 3 or 4 beers out of 20, 25 people. Only 3 beers were consumed, which didn't suck, because then I decided to throw a party that weekend and invited some of my lush friends over, and we made quick work of that keg. So nothing was wasted, but there you go. Sometimes it's always good to consider, number one, how bibulous or how big of drinkers your guests are going to be on average. So thinking about it in the back of your mind while we're going through this, when you look at your guest list, whether, like I said, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, try to determine in your head maybe how much you would expect people to drink on average. Is this a 1 drink on average crowd, 2 drink on average crowd, 3 drink on average? But I have a way to fix that. And that's part of a little bit of the mathematics that I've put together today. And because we're doing 15-minute mini shows now, I am doing a lot more research and a lot more writing. So you'll notice that I'll probably be checking my notes a little more often, because I want to make sure I'm not wasting a minute of your time, because we are all getting busier and busier. Getting back, a little bit more of getting back to work and finding that we don't have maybe quite as much time for day drinking than we did maybe 3 months ago. Okay, so this is the way I want to do this. First of all, you want to always adjust intuitively. Don't use these numbers without using your mind. Intuitively, make sure to adjust for a few things: families, kids, teetotalers, in other words, people who don't drink, age, sophistication level, and cohort. So do consider that there are certain age groups and certain cohorts that tend to drink more. I find car collectors tend to drink a lot. People in RV, like RV clubs, tend to drink a lot. like home winemaking clubs tend to drink a lot. So think about, again, 1 to 10, what you would expect, how much your party's going to drink. Water, okay. Consider trash, because there's a lot of water bottles that are made of plastic. I don't really like to get, it's really the best thing, honestly, for a wine tasting is those awful little kind of wine pot or water pods that have like 4 ounces of water, because the problem at a wine tasting is you're carrying food, you're carrying wine, or you're at a party, and you get a bottle of water, you open it, you drink it, and you put it down, and you're done. At least the pod, you can kind of finish it, crush it, throw it away. But what a horrible waste of trash. So I'm going to suggest that you find a way to use, encourage people to use wine glasses or other permanent glasses that you can wash for your water, and buy at least 1 or 2 liter bottles. And here's my suggestion: 2/3 still, 1/3 sparkling, big bottles, washable cups, and think of 1 liter per water per guest, and encourage your guests to stay hydrated. Extra water is good because it's basically a dry good. Water is a dry good, didn't you know? And you can put it in your garage and have water for wherever you want. Put some. I keep bottled water in my trunk of my car. I keep it in my car. I need to stay hydrated all the time. So very important to stay hydrated while you drink. My greatest trick of winemaking, prestidigitation, would be drink 3 glasses of water for every glass of wine, and you'll be surprised how better you feel in the morning. Didn't think I'd be talking about hydration today, did you? And then think about at least 1 can, if not a can and a half, of sparkling, like calorie-free, sweetener-free sparkling water with fruit essence, like La Croix or Bubbly or whatever you want to call it, whatever store brand you like. I would definitely buy a couple mixed cases or something at Costco to not only have regular water, but maybe some sparkling water too. And then you want to think about soft drinks. I don't drink soft drinks. I don't like soft drinks, but I know some people enjoy them. They are being I think they're becoming marginalized, to be honest, when you see Coca-Cola talking about making alcoholic Coke, when you hear them talking about all the things that they're going to have to switch. When Coke's having an issue, everyone's having an issue. So I wouldn't worry too much about sodas, but I would go 50% cola. I'd go 25% lemon lime. Personally, I think diet drinks are profane. I think they're bad for the human body. I think they mess with my ability to taste residual sugar. Even though I am unable to drink sugary drinks, I do not drink artificially sweetened drinks. But I'd say on the average, I would do maybe 25% diet and 75% regular. Generally, I find that the diet drinks persist and end up staying in my refrigerator for years after a party. So don't go too deep on the diet. And then I would, so you got 75%, 50% cola, 25% lemon lime. And then I would take that last 25% and I would split it between something like a fruity soda like Squirt or Sunkist or Fanta, which was invented in Nazi Germany. Fanta was a drink because they didn't have all the ingredients to make other sodas, so they started making fruity sodas. Bet you didn't know that either. As soon as you go Nazi, though, there's really nowhere to go in a conversation or an argument. So just forget I said that. And then maybe a little Mountain Dew. I used to once in a while have a Mountain Dew, like when I was like 18 or 19, if I needed the caffeine. One thing I wouldn't do, I would not get Red Bulls and Monster drinks, because you want people to go home. You might, if you need your garage cleaned, give someone 4 Monsters and just be like, dude, go clean my garage. But you want people to go home. So don't, probably Red Bulls are probably not the greatest idea, unless at the end of the night and people need a little caffeine to perk up. But if there's people that love energy drinks, they bring their own, because that's what they do. Real quick about coffee. Coffee it's a choice. The nice thing about coffee is it's cheap. You can do a full coffee service, probably for 50 cents a person, and that includes creamer, a couple kinds of normal and artificial sweetener, bringing out carafes as they're needed, and making sure people have the opportunity to have a little caffeine before they have to drive home in case they just need to refresh their head just a little bit. I'd say plan on a half a cup to 2/3 of a cup of coffee per person. And again, I'm publishing all this on Facebook, so if you're taking notes, stop. This is about day drinking, which I almost forgot. Alcohol. Buy a good, accurate breathalyzer. Have it available with sanitizing or disposable mouthpieces, and allow folks to check their blood alcohol content. You'll be surprised how many people will. It's actually a really fun party trick to play with a breathalyzer. I did this for myself until I could hit my own blood alcohol level between 0.01 and 0.02. So I'm pretty good at that. But you'd be surprised. Have a breathalyzer around. It's kind of fun to, take a shot, wait 20 minutes, breathalyze, take a shot, wait 20 minutes, breathalyze. It's really interesting. You should really understand how alcohol affects your blood alcohol level because it really is different. A bar is expensive. I would never do a bar, especially at a party where people drive to and drive away. Having a bar, I think, is a liability, but you can put together some interesting cocktail mixes and have them in pitchers and or in some type of dispenser, maybe a Negroni. You could just do a gin and tonic. You can have all these pitcher cocktails, ice, and well glasses. Let people do that themselves. Beer, I like a 50-50 split of cheap American lager and craft beer. Be surprised how many people still hope that there's Bud Light there, that they want Coors Light, that they might want a cheap American lager. And then the other way I would go, I would have at least one option of an IPA, one option of a hazy IPA, and then one option of a dark beer. I like Guinness because it has lower alcohol. People think it has higher alcohol, but people can, you can drink Guinness to sober up. I swear it works. Unless you're driving. Plan on two beers per guest, and you'll have enough left over because a lot of people will be drinking wine and other beverages. If you're going to do pony kegs or half barrels, I do one of Bud or Coors type lager and something crafty like Guinness or a craft IPA. And I would stay as local as I can. I think supporting local breweries is incredibly important right now. And also people that are coming will recognize that you're also supporting that local economy. All right, all we have left is wine. So how the hell are we going to figure out how much wine to give to people? The last story I wanted to tell is at our wedding. We had 140 people at our wedding. We drank almost 300 bottles of wine. Yes, it was a 7-hour reception and a 15-minute service. So it was a party with a real quick wedding at the beginning, and we did find French people passed out in the vineyard at Club Pepe afterwards. So there are times and places that more alcohol will be consumed and everyone will go on wine. If you're a winemaker or you're in the wine industry, people will just assume that you'll have a lot more wine than other drinks. But I always like to have drinks, any type of drinks for folks that, if you want a shot of mezcal, I want to have mezcal for you. If you want to have, some Fernet Branca, I'm going to have some Fernet for you. If you want to try, my favorite tequila, it's probably going to be here. But in the end, it's really important if people expect wine that they have an interesting wine selection. So this is the perfect thing. So my rule of thumb, and I don't think I've ever published this. So this is Wes Hagen secret number 362. Half a bottle per guest plus one bottle per invited winemaker or lush. Half a bottle per person plus one bottle per winemaker invited or per lush. And we're not trying to get the lushes drunk. They're just going to drink more wine, I read someplace that, the lion's share of wine is consumed by 10% of wine drinkers. There are core customers. The same stuff probably happens for, paid pornography and all the other things that we don't even think about. 10% of the core users represent 75 to 90% of the sales of those people. So really do think about adding a bottle for everyone that is going to be there to get their drink on. Okay, so then we go. As far as total wine needed, let's use an example. We got a party of 10. 2 are winemakers and 2 are known core consumers. 10 divided by 2, 5 bottles plus 1 bottle for each winemaker or drinker makes 4. So that's 9 bottles of wine for 10 people. May seem crazy, but I would round up to get a case because wine doesn't go bad and you're not going to open bottles until they're needed. Here's a wine breakdown. So what's the weather like? Because that's going to really, really impact. Summer or a warm or hot day outside, heavy on bubbles, dry rosé, and aromatic whites. 3/4 of the bottles should fall into that category. Light reds like Pinot and Gamay with a light chill. And I would do 25% of red wine, 75% bubbles, rosé, and aromatic whites. I might get a couple bottles of Chardonnay because there's always going to be someone who wants Chardonnay on a hot day, even though it's not the greatest white wine or bubbles or whatever to drink. But yeah, or just get a Blanc de Blanc. So if someone orders Chardonnay, don't even say anything. Just pour them a Blanc de Blanc. You just got Chardonnay in your glass. You didn't ask for still Chardonnay. You didn't ask for Rombauer. Expand your horizons. Drink some Blanc de Blanc. It's delicious. So let's say you're indoors, or let's go to summer night, warm night. Bubbles, rosé, and aromatic whites. Add Chardonnay 2/3, and then 1/3 light reds with the addition of at least one heavy red option, like a Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, a Le Grigne, something like that. You can chill a little Zin, you can chill a little Pinot or Gamay. Leave that for people who want to have a little light, refreshing red, but also there's going to be a dude there that wants some Cab. Or a woman who wants some Cab. I'm not at all believing that there are certain, well, women have better palates, but Cab tastes pretty darn good. All right, how about if there's cold weather? Either you are basically in cold weather outside or it's pretty chilly inside. Definitely add more coffee. Maybe throw in some cocoa and marshmallows for the kids, because the kids will always, happy kids make happy adults, and they're having a better time at your party. And then I would go 3/4 reds with the predominance on heavy reds, Syrah, Cab, Merlot, and then either a dry rosé or a Chardonnay option at 25%. So here we go. I'm going to finish real quick by telling you kind of what I would consider in this thing. Remember, we're doing half a bottle per person plus 1 bottle per winemaker or heavy drinker. You've got sort of my ideas on how to break those up by if it's hot, if it's comfortable, or it's cold. And then what I would say is the standard breakdown of sparkling wine. This is where I would say, think of Gloria Ferrer from California, Cava, Prosecco, non-vintage champagne. Budget $10 to $50 a bottle, depending on how much you want to spend. I would say that the standard breakdown for any party, I would want 20% sparkling wine. And that's on average without thinking about the temperature and the environment. Aromatic white wine, Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Gruner Veltliner. Obviously, you want to think about the foods that you're having too, and make sure that they all kind of jive. But I would plan on that $5 to $30 a bottle, and I would do 10% on average aromatic whites. Oaked and heavy white, Chardonnay, Viognier, Roussanne, Marsanne. White Rhones, you better wait for the geeks. Some people don't get them and some people don't dig them. But Viognier and all that stuff, if you want something unctuous and a little heavier, that's not Chardonnay, those fit the bill. I would expect to pay $10 to $30 for those wines, and I would go 15% Chard heavy, 15% heavy oaked or unctuous whites, 15% of the wines that you're serving. Rosé, there's some great value out of Spain, California, Provence. I like Grenache and Mourvedre, make beautiful rosés. Pinot Noir tends to be a little more expensive, and I don't know if Pinot Noir rosé is really worth the price of admission. I would go probably something from Provence, or California that's really either Grenache or probably dominant. I think it's a great way to go. You would expect to pay $5 to $20 a bottle, and I would make sure 10% of the wines for your event are rosé. Then I would do light, medium red. If it's warm outside or it's warm in the house, put a slight chill on your light and medium reds. We're talking maybe a J.Wilkes Pinot Noir, maybe a Gamay, a Grenache, Chateauneuf du Pape, Côte de Rhône, a Chianti. I would do 20% and expect to pay $15 to $30 on those. And of course, depending on the palates of your guests, goes cheap and get the best quality to price ratio as you can. And if depending on your budget, if you want to impress people, if your boss is going to be there, make sure you know what they love. And then if he really loves, Tavel Rosé, make sure there's a bottle of Tavel in the fridge that you open and put right next to him on his table to make sure he gets the high quality wine, at least a glass of it. We had a 30-year-old Hermitage that we were supposed to drink at our wedding, and everyone went up to our table and took it and drank it all. The one little glass that my wife had, someone, I won't mention who, but it was in our family, tried to give my wife a hug, and she spilled that Hermitage all over her. I don't want to say how much that dress was, but anyway, just be careful with the red wines. And then for the heavy reds, Cab, Merlot, Syrah, Nebbiolo, Nero d'Avola, Tannat, I would go 25% before you figure out the weather stuff, and I would expect to spend $15 to $40 on that. So that's about it. I'm going to publish all those notes. I hope that gives you some idea of kind of the way that I would put together a wine party. Do consider your food, do consider your audience, do consider the breakdown of kids, adults, light drinkers, your friends. If you have no idea what the weather's going to be like, or what, I would use the standard kind of plan I had sort of at the end that I will put up on J.Wilkes Wine's Santa Barbara Facebook page right now. So I'm feeling a little weird. That was a little longer than 15 minutes, but I'll get better. I'll get better. So I hope you guys appreciate that. I hope you guys have some good, got some good information. I hope this is going to help you entertain once we begin. It is a little weird. I actually, in the shower, I'm talking about how to have big parties. This is an awful idea. Caveat, don't hang out with a bunch of people in close quarters and and drink. Probably a bad idea. Wear a mask, stay separated, and when we have the opportunity of herd immunity or immunization, we'll all get together and we'll start practicing some of this stuff. So we're front loading for basically the next generation of health. Really looking forward to that. So we'll hopefully you got some good information on this. Friday, my goodness, Friday, only 2 days away. Ken Brown, 5 o'clock. We're going to have a 1-hour conversation about the history of Santa Barbara wine from the man who made it happen. This is R. David Lett. This is a guy that if they don't save his brain for the understanding of how farming and winemaking work together, he's going to teach us so much about Pinot Noir, so much about the history of Santa Barbara. I really hope you guys come in on Friday, 5 o'clock, 5 to 6. We'll be having a great little Zoom conversation. It will be simulcast with any luck on J.Wilkes Wine Santa Barbara. If I were you, though, I'd go directly into the Zoom chat to make sure you have the chance of asking questions, getting your questions answered. Should be fun. A lot of talking, not enough time to drink. I like the longer format just because I can drink more. But now you guys can drink, get your drink on, and go spend some time with your family and friends. Find someone in your neighborhood, find someone in your family, find someone that you may not know who may need some help. Reach out to them. Make sure that they're safe, make sure that they're healthy, make sure that they have resources. And just remember, we're all in this together. And wear a mask, stay separated, stay healthy. And remember, it's not about personal responsibility. It's about community responsibility. Next time I see someone walking to a business without a mask, I'm just going to probably just start yelling, selfish, selfish, selfish. Because that's what that is. It's not, I am choosing to show my freedom by showing what a badass I am by not wearing a mask. No, dude, you are looking selfish because you don't care about the vulnerable. You don't care about the sick. You don't care about the grandma. You don't care about the people in nursing homes. It's not about personal responsibility. It's about community. It's about community responsibility. So I'm going to start using that term quite often. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are healthy. I hope your families are healthy. Wherever you are, whatever is in your glass, how lucky are we that we live in the greatest time in history for drinking alcoholic beverages. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. I'll talk to you guys on Friday with Ken Brown. Ken Brown. And then we got Jim Clendenin. And then, boom, Karen McNeil. It's almost like I'm getting good guests. Hope you guys had fun. We'll talk to you guys all soon. Be well.